Today we're looking at the GT 1030. Now this graphics card can be had for around about £100 or so in the UK here, and we're going to take a look at it today in our 2022 benchmarks. We're probably going to test 1080p low, and then most likely we'll come down to maybe 900p or even 720p on low settings. So this GT 1030 is only a 2GB card, so again, we're going to be restricted in that sense with 2GB of VRAM. You never know. Let's see what we can do on the budget end for graphics cards. So our test system before we jump into the benchmarks is a Ryzen 1600 AF with 16GB of DDR4 RAM clocked at 3000 MHz. All the footage you're about to see is taken from the RX 580 footage, but I have done the tests with the GT 1030. Moving on to Cyberpunk 2077, we see at 1080p low, we have an average of 17, with a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 19. And moving on to the 900p low for Cyberpunk 2077, we have an average of 16, a minimum of 14, and a maximum of 21 frames per second. So as you can see here, the GT 1030 just simply can't do Cyberpunk 2077, but we pretty much knew that before. Far Cry 6 at 1080p low was an average of 37, a minimum of 11, and a maximum of 40. And at the 900p low was average of 33, minimum of 16, and a maximum of 41. So as we can see, not much difference between going to 1080p low or 900p low here. Both are kind of unplayable, but technically if you want 30 frames per second, you can do it with this title. But with shooters, you generally want to go for 60 FPS. Moving on to Watch Dogs Legion, we have a 1080p low average of 15, a minimum of 7, and a maximum of 73. And the 900p low of 19 average, 11 minimum, and 60 for maximum. So as we can see here again, Watch Dogs Legion, again, it's kind of unplayable. Potentially you could mess around with the resolution scaling to maybe boost it up to about 30 frames per second, but pretty much the GT 1030 here with this modern title, it is struggling too much really. So again, it's kind of 3 fails out of 3 games, unfortunately. Moving on to the Halo Infinite results, we see a 1080p low average of 27, a minimum of 16, and a maximum of 43. The 900p low is 27 average, a minimum of 19, and a maximum of 38. So again here, Halo Infinite is probably a 4 out of 4 fail, I'd say, for the GT 1030. Now, shooters really, again, you want 60 FPS average. We're only really getting around 30 here. Moving on to the Forza Horizon 5 results, 1080p low average of 30, a minimum of 24, and a maximum of 39. The 900p low average of 33, minimum of 25, and maximum of 43. So as we can see here, the Forza Horizon results are actually the only game which is kind of respectable results. For a racing game, I'd probably say 30 FPS is acceptable for an average. And the 1080p lows, we do get 30 FPS average. So I would say 1080p low here with a GT 1030, if you really wanted to do Forza Horizon 5, it would be okay. So to conclude for the GT 1030 2GB, the DDR5 version, overall, no, I wouldn't get it. It's for £100, it's not really worth it, and you may as well go up to the RX 6500 XT if you want something. And especially now as we're getting cheaper and cheaper graphics cards, probably in even the second-hand market, for £150 to maybe £200, you can get a 4GB card for that sort of money. Something like the GTX 970 would be a step up here. The GTX 1050 Ti obviously would be a decent step up as well. And there's a few other cards, sort of maybe like the R9 390 or 290 even, could be a step up. There's so much here that we could step up to. If you're on an absolute budget and you can only spend £100, then fair enough, it's not that bad, and it will get you by on certainly more earlier titles. But for the latest and greatest titles, no, it's not a graphics card for that, and it's really more just for the odd sort of casual gamer who's maybe playing things like Rocket League and maybe a bit of Fortnite and obviously CSGO and stuff like that. It's more for casual gamers. And so I hope you like that little look at what the GT 1030 2GB DDR5 version can do in 2022, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.